Probably 2 or 3 times over the course of working together for nearly 3 years, he actually would email me and be like, "Hey Eric, like I'm gonna need that podcast," and I'd be like, "Oh crap, like I forgot to do it this week." Hey, my name is Eric Worral, and I am a fractional marketing director. And for the past probably 2.5 years, I've been working with your podcast and specifically Luca from that team. And I'm making this video testimonial. He asked me to make it, but I was happy to oblige because it's been an awesome experience working with Luca. Specifically, I don't know if you're anything like me, but I ended up like juggling a lot of balls in the role that I was playing with the particular company that I was fulfilling this podcast for, a company called RentPrep. And, you know, I was in charge of SEO, content marketing, newsletters, email communications, Facebook groups, podcasts. So the idea of like being able to put a ton of energy into the podcast, frankly, I just didn't have the time for it. So that's why I hired an audio engineer, and that was Luca, and he's grown his business in your podcast, and he's done a tremendous job for me. But the thing that I appreciated the most, because of all those balls that I've been juggling, is the fact that he's super, super accountable. He's so reliable, actually more reliable than me. And what I mean by that is it was like clockwork working with him in that probably 2 or 3 times over the course of working together for nearly 3 years, he actually would email me and be like, "Hey Eric, like I'm gonna need that podcast," and I'd be like, "Oh crap, like I forgot to do it this week." So he was actually so reliable that he would remind me when I was kind of slipping on my end. Never had a single podcast be late. He would do the audio engineering of it. He would do the posting of it, the publishing, even help with the posting it to WordPress, and then having the audio transcription. And like, if you can put together like a half-page, 1-page overview document of here's what I want, this is the way I want it, he will pick it up immediately, which I found that very difficult when you're working with freelancers, because sometimes it feels like you're having to repeat yourself 5-6 times for the message to sink in on what you're looking for. With Luca, it's almost immediate. I would say my one regret from working with Luca and your podcast was that I kind of I don't want to sound mean about it, but maybe I didn't give him enough credit as far as his creative talent. So I was thinking of him and your podcast more as this partner that can, audio engineer. So you're removing that hiss, you're cleaning up the audio and throwing in a few sound effects. But I started to kind of bounce some ideas off of him, and I was really impressed with his creative thinking skills and ability to run with things. And a good example of it is I had this idea of like, RentPrep, they serve landlords, and I wanted to do this thing kind of like People's Court, but landlord court. And what I did is I found like a YouTube clip of what I was specifically looking at, like from People's Court. I sent it to him and I go, "Hey, is this something that we could spoof and do a parody of and kind of throw some voices into it and things like that?" So he just like ran with it and produced a really killer piece of content. So I'll play that for you right now just so you kind of have an idea of what I'm talking about.
This is Edward Cullen. He's a landlord from Kentucky, and he says the defendant was a terrible renter. He's suing for $1,048 in damages that exceeded the security deposit. This is the defendant, Jake Ombry, who lived in one of Edward's rentals in Kentucky, and he claims the rental was clean when he finished his lease. He says his landlord is trying to extort money from his security deposit. He says he's always paid on time and that Edward just wants money because he's a slumlord.
Will all parties please raise their right hand?
What you're about to hear is only real in your imagination. The judgments are fictitious, but real-life lessons are waiting around the bend. Welcome to RentPrep Court.
All rise for the Honorable Judge Rudy Fortune.
Edward Cullen, you are suing your former tenant, Jake Ombry, for damages of $1,048.
So I don't know about you, but I was super impressed. It was like exactly what I was looking for on the first try. His rates are reasonable. He's super reliable, very creative. So if you do work with him, all I would say is like, don't worry about like the reliability and the quality of the product that he puts out. That's exceptional. But lean on him as a creative talent that can help take your podcast from what it is right now and, be able to just add some creativity to it and some different things and give him some runway to kind of run with it. And I think you'll be really impressed with what he does for your podcast and really happy with it. So I've been super happy with your podcast and specifically working with Luca. And I think you'll be really happy if you do too. All right. And if I'll put my contact information on the screen. If you want a second opinion on it or anything like that, I'd be happy to help you out. All right. Good luck and take care.